As 2025 progresses, a discernible shift is occurring in global travel patterns, with many international tourists choosing to steer clear of the United States. This trend is driven by escalating political tensions, increasingly hostile immigration policies, and a string of recent incidents that have damaged the country's reputation as an accessible and welcoming travel destination. The combination of these factors has led to a climate of uncertainty and apprehension among potential visitors worldwide. But before we dive in further, be sure to subscribe to your travel trooper and make sure to watch till the end. The political landscape in the U.S. has been tumultuous since the recent elections, with the Trump administration's policies still casting a long shadow over the country's international image. Many travelers perceive the current environment as unpredictable and hostile, particularly toward foreigners. The rhetoric surrounding immigration, border security, and law enforcement has intensified, creating an atmosphere where tourists feel less secure and more scrutinized. The administration's emphasis on strict border controls and immigration enforcement has contributed to a perception of the U.S. as less welcoming. This perception is reinforced by stories of tourists being detained or deported for minor infractions, often without transparent explanations. As a result, many international travelers are reconsidering their plans, opting instead for destinations perceived as more stable and hospitable. Several recent incidents have garnered international media attention and fueled fears about visiting the U.S. in 2025. These cases exemplify the increasingly hostile environment faced by tourists and have had a ripple effect on traveler confidence. One notable case involved a group of European tourists arriving at a major U.S. airport where their visas were flagged by automated screening systems. Despite holding valid documentation and cooperating with authorities, they were detained for over 6 hours, subjected to invasive questioning, and ultimately deported. Such incidents highlight the pitfalls of automated systems that lack nuance and human oversight, leading to wrongful detentions. A family from Southeast Asia was detained for nearly 48 hours after border officials misread their travel documents, mistaking minor discrepancies for suspicious activity. The family was eventually released, but the experience left them traumatized and publicly voiced their disillusionment with the U.S. immigration process. In a high-profile case, an influential content creator from South America was detained after posting critical opinions about U.S. immigration policies on social media platforms. Although charges against the influencer were dropped, the incident drew widespread criticism and underscored concerns about freedom of speech and the risks of expressing dissent while traveling in the U.S. In some regions, reports indicate an increase in mass detentions of travelers under suspicion of minor infractions, often justified through broad or vague legal provisions. Such measures have raised alarms about human rights violations and the erosion of civil liberties for visitors. The U.S. immigration system under the current administration has become notably more complex and less predictable. The application process for visas has become lengthier, with increased scrutiny and stricter eligibility requirements. Many travelers face uncertainty due to inconsistent enforcement policies and unpredictable border procedures. Enhanced biometric screening, increased use of facial recognition technology, and expanded border patrol operations contribute to the perception that the U.S. is prioritizing security over hospitality. These practices, while aimed at national security, often result in long wait times, invasive searches, and a feeling of being unwelcome for tourists. Furthermore, the zero-tolerance approach to border crossings has created a climate where travelers are more likely to face detention or questioning, even without clear evidence of wrongdoing. The lack of transparent guidelines and the discretionary power of border officials further exacerbate travelers' fears. The decline in international visitors has tangible economic consequences. The U.S. tourism industry, which relies heavily on international travelers for revenue, has experienced a noticeable downturn. Major cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Miami report fewer international arrivals, leading to reduced hotel bookings, restaurant patronage, and entertainment industry earnings. In addition, the negative perception is spreading beyond borders. Countries that traditionally sent large numbers of tourists to the U.S., such as Canada, Mexico, the United Kingdom, and parts of Europe, are seeing their citizens opt for alternative destinations. This shift risks long-term damage to the U.S.'s reputation as a global travel hub. The issues faced by travelers are also reflective of broader diplomatic strains. Several countries have issued travel advisories warning their citizens about potential risks when visiting the U.S., citing detention incidents and unpredictable border policies. This diplomatic tension has further discouraged travel and investment, impacting cultural exchanges and international cooperation. Unless there is a significant policy shift aimed at restoring trust and easing restrictions, the trend of declining international arrivals is likely to continue into the foreseeable future. Critics argue that the current approach undermines the U.S.'s standing as a global leader in tourism and diplomacy. However, some advocates suggest that reforms focusing on transparency, fair treatment, and streamlined visa processes could help reverse the trend. Improving diplomatic relations and emphasizing the country's cultural diversity and openness may also help rebuild confidence among international travelers. In 2025, the United States finds itself at a crossroads. The combination of political unrest, aggressive immigration policies, and high-profile incidents involving detentions and questioning have tarnished its image as a welcoming destination. As a result, many travelers are choosing to explore alternative countries perceived as safer and more hospitable. Whether the U.S. can recover its reputation and attract global visitors again hinges on its ability to balance security concerns with respect for civil liberties and international relations. Until then, the trend of travelers avoiding the U.S. is poised to continue, reshaping its position in the world of international tourism. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to your Travel Trooper for more stories like this and drop a like, share and comment your thoughts below.